So today we continue with this. We're going to look at the law of the market. The session will be focused on before you sell, you need to recognize your market underlying forces. Before anyone sells, that person needs to understand or recognize core market underlying forces. And that is what we will focus on throughout this particular course right now. Everybody is part of a market. Everybody is part of a market. If you're a student, you're part of a market. You're buying school needs. And at some point, some are already making business in school, you're already selling. If you're an employee, you're part of a market. People buy from the business you work with. You buy on behalf of the business buy from you, and you sell to the business. You buy your personal needs. Business people automatically, you live in a market. Everybody is part of a market. So there is no way that you and I can succeed in the market if we don't understand the law of the market. I strongly believe that this particular course session will turn a lot of things around us, and it will take our actions to another level, and not just actions, but informed actions that will enhance our success as professionals who sell in the market, or as business people who create an engine and run activities in the market. It is very critical that you understand the underlying forces that make up a market. Because when you do that, there are some things you stop struggling to understand. Like, for example, somebody came and asked me yesterday that truly that he has noticed that I have a reputation of starting all my events on time. If you're in the hall and I noticed that by latest 9:50, the hall was almost full, right? And by 10 o'clock, Michelle, by 9:58, I asked the MCs to go and start the program. Now, there are some forces that if you don't understand that surround that particular event market, there are some things you always do that will not go on the right way or as you plan. It is the same that you can take that the event is a marketplace. Buying and selling on the street is a marketplace. Selling in a corporate building is a marketplace. Doing services everywhere is practically a marketplace. But then there are some underlying forces that until you understand and begin to live by them and begin to enforce them, you will not be able to handle relevant results that you actually desire. So going through a session like this to understand the underlying market forces is critical. And according to the law of the market is where buyers and sellers of products and services meet to set prices and determine the allocation of money, labor, materials, and all factors of production. It is where, right? It is a place. So it is not a particular place. It is where a buyer and seller meets. For those who did commerce in those days or marketing in high school, there's a popular definition of market which says that a market is any place where a buyer and seller meet, and the buyer is satisfied with the quality purchased and the seller is satisfied with the money received from the buyer. Automatically, that is a market. So a WhatsApp group can be a market. There are people like Mespa, they were making sales at the event yesterday. That was their market, right? A church can be a market. After service can be a market. On the street can be a market. In the office can be a market. During your interview panel, that's a market for you. It says the market is where buyer and seller of products and services meet to set prices and determine the allocation of money. During your interview, they're asking you about the service that you can provide. And then there's always this question, how much do you think we can pay you? Then you start negotiating for a better salary. They start telling you, okay, as the head of this department, as the employee of this company, you have access to the following resources. You're going to have access to the following equipment. You see, that is a market. That short 30 minutes interview, it is already a market because a lot of forces, a lot of factors were in play during that particular discussion. So there is no way that you are going to excel in a market that you don't understand the underlying forces. And that is why it is said that the market is a fictitious place existing everywhere and nowhere. And when you have this in mind, you understand that you can make money everywhere. You can make money from a WhatsApp group. You can make money through emails. You can make money through Facebook, through Twitter. You can make money anywhere because you understand that it is forces. When forces come in contact anywhere, when the right forces come in contact anywhere, that is a market. So the question is, what force do you have on your end that can prompt the other force on the other end that can lead to exchange, that leads to a market? Because a market only manifests when there is an exchange between value created and money. And then there is a satisfaction between the person receiving the value and the person receiving the payment. There must be the seller is satisfied with the money received and the buyer is satisfied with the value collected. So you need, from today, you need to start thinking in a very agile way. Now imagine that, for example, I used to do a lot of CV writing for people and I get paid, charge 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 francs for CVs. Now, that's already a market. So what happens is they write me on maybe a simple WhatsApp message. Hey, do you write CV? Yes, I write CVs. How much do you write? This, if it's this. Then we agree on a WhatsApp chat and then they send mobile money, work on their CV and I send on WhatsApp. The market has taken place. So when you understand these underlying forces of a market, you begin to understand places where you can create value, leverage, and take advantage, and stop waiting for a special circumstance, especially in this dispensation. In this dispensation, you no longer need to leave and go to Kululu, go to Marché Central, go to wherever before you start making money. You just need to understand what forces do you need to put in play so that you start leveraging on them and using them to engineer market and sales. That is why you need to understand the market is what is fictitious. It's a fictitious place. It exists everywhere and nowhere. That is why there are interviews now that they can do your interview on Zoom and give you a job with a good salary. You no longer need to go to, you must not go to the office headquarters nowadays. Sometimes they interview people with WhatsApp calls. And there's an agreement that leads to exchange of value and money. And you need to understand that we are now in a dispensation of an agile market. Several years ago, our parents had to go to a particular place to buy and sell. But now there are other forces in play that has made the market to be more advanced. And that is your job as an expert, as a marketer, as a professional, as a business person, to understand which other forces do you need to bring in play to be able to create an excellent market. Okay, look at the event that just ended. We had 400 plus people who came to an event that all the other major activities happened just online. The mini MBA trainings all happen online. The PPA all happens online. But we were able to use online platforms and all of this and orchestrate a massive event like that, which was very successful. The market represents all of the millions of buying and selling decisions that take place every day at every level of the society and in every private or public enterprise. The market represents all of the millions of buying and selling decisions. Yes, the buying and selling decision is part of the market. You as a value creator, like for example, let's pick Mespa for example. Mespa decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna carry my things from Yaoundé to come to Douala and sell. That selling decision that she made while still in Yaoundé was already part of her market. When you sit and you are thinking of how to design a flyer so you can sell, you can promote on Facebook and on your status, you have already initiated the market. Now, why is this important? So you understand that every action that you take around anything that involves the projection of value or the marketing of value right up to the sales of value is very important. So if you understand that designing the flyer and putting it public is already part of a market, you will have to do a beautiful flyer because it's already part of the market. Because the flyer also will have to influence the buying decision of the person buying the value. And that is where the market starts happening. So if somebody sees their flyer and starts thinking, maybe this flyer is nicer, let me see, what do they sell? That is already market taking place before the real exchange of value finally manifests. Therefore, the sum total of all these decisions determines the prices of virtually everything that is not government controlled in our society. Yes, all the decisions, all the activities, even you just deciding and buying data, for example, so you can use the data and promote. Just you buying the data is part of your market, because without that data, the expression of value will not take place. And when expression of value or marketing of value does not take place, monetization of that value becomes difficult. In a free market, resources will be allocated with complete efficiency and prices will accurately reflect supply and demand for that. Now, we are in an economy whereby a lot of people, capitalists, promote a lot of free markets, right? A market whereby the determinants of buying and selling is done purely by the players in the market, not by the government per se, right? And free markets grow at a certain speed because it is driven purely by value. You have something good to sell and it can solve my problem, I buy it. That's how the free market operates. We agree on the price on our own. Like, for example, even PPA, like PPA, for example, it's not the government who determine the price that you guys pay a year to be PPA. No. I determine the price, I shared the value with you, you looked at the value, and you accepted that, okay, 12,000 is okay for me to pay for this value that for PPA, and you pay. That's a free market. We determined the price based on our forces, based on the value created and the value to be received. And that's why free markets are good, because it makes things to be fast-paced. And as they are fast-paced, the right activity begins to happen. Because in a free market, it is only the best value that gets to survive. So if you are not good, you may hardly survive in a free market. That's why it is said that in a free market, resources will be allocated with complete efficiency and prices will accurately reflect supply and demand to that particular moment. So one way for you to survive and thrive in a market like Cameroon and thrive in a market like many African countries and America and so on, you need to understand that if you don't have the most efficient way to create value and deliver value, you will struggle to have accurate prices and you will struggle to experience high demand for what you do. So in a free market, one of the key underlying forces is the excellence in the value that you are creating. Because it is not a market that the government will put a law that everybody must buy from you. It is a market that is free. So when a market is free, it is the excellence in the value being created, in the value being delivered, in the value being communicated that makes you stand out. Because anybody is permitted to kick you out of the market and take your position. That's why it is said that the free market is perhaps the greatest miracle of all human experience and society. The free market is perhaps the greatest miracle of all human experience and what? And the society. Because anything can happen, anything can be created, anything can be manifested. But a free market does not mean that there are no general laws by the government to avoid certain things. Like, for example, there are price regulatory ministries in various countries. Yes, there are good because of either people will take advantage of all of that. There are quality standards that govern a free market. Yes, don't confuse that. Okay. There are general laws that you need to respect. In a free market, every institution operates under particular ministries that regulate their activities. That is different because the laws of the land must protect both the buyer and the seller. But apart from that, there are many things that happen in play that it is determined by the level of the value being created and if the buyer acknowledges, recognizes, and accepts the value being delivered and they are okay to pay the particular price. That's why the free market is the most efficient way for millions of people to have their needs met at the lowest possible cost. Why is that possible? Because in the free market, everybody is permitted to create the best value. And when you're in a market where people are creating excellent value, you start competing with prices too. You create excellent value, and if your neighbor creates excellent value, you need to start looking at better strategies that you can be able to compete with them. And sometimes to do that, you may have to deliver excellent value at a good price that the market will be happy to pay for it. The free market, therefore, forms spontaneously and operates automatically virtually everywhere. That's one thing you need to understand about the free market. You can form a free market anywhere, like anywhere at any time. Okay, like for example, many of these sessions that I have, I get to convert them to courses, online courses, and I look at the value and I determine the price and I put it online. People start buying, spontaneously created. There's no formalities, nothing. I don't need to go through any super formalities or anything. Just get to work. You see, there are some of you just know you can decide how to design a flyer. Okay, just design the flyer, and then you start this. Okay, you know what? From today, I design flyers, and you pay 5,000 francs. You pay 10,000 francs. You spontaneously decide the market. There are even some of you that are selling things that you don't have particular price. You sell it, you determine the price depending on who is coming to you, depending on who is asking for whatever you're selling, depending on where you find yourself. You spontaneously create the market. And people who survive in this kind of market must learn how to be spontaneous. You quickly take advantage of opportunities that you see and you supply the value and you get to make money. So the free market forms spontaneously and operates automatically virtually everywhere. In the absence of government interference in economic activities or economic decision making, there's no government direct interference. The government just has other laws put into place to generally protect the citizens who are in the market. The freer the market, the more vibrant the economy, the greater the quantity of wealth and opportunity that is created for more people. Yes, the freer the market, the more vibrant the economy. That is why if you notice one thing, if you want to look at the impact of this, look at the impact of COVID-19 on the economy in 2020, 21, and up to now even, although now it's much relaxed. But in 2020, it was worst, right? The economy was struggling because people were not moving. Goods were not moving. A lot of things were not moving the way they're supposed to move. So when that happens automatically, there is a reduction in opportunities, a reduction in economic opportunities, reduction in wealth creation, reduction in opportunities that can make people to be rich. When a market is free and there's free movement of goods and people, there's free determinant of certain things by the players in the private sector especially, it leads to a very vibrant economy. It leads to greater wealth creation and more opportunities for people to be wealthy. The freer the market is from government interference, the greater will be the supply and variety of goods and services, the greater will be the prosperity of the people. This is especially in terms of value creation. A nation that puts a lot of laws that hinders creation, that hinders research and creation of new things, that nation will not go places. A nation, that's why China is where it is. One of the strengths of China is that China promotes a lot of creation. A lot of creation. When you create things in China, you're celebrated. At that level, they're doing so well. But at some level, there are some things that China is not a free market. It's a state control market, massively state control. There are some things like that are owned purely by the government. There are some majority of the banks owned by the government, right? At some level, they're highly state control market. But one thing that has made them stand out is that they understand the power of creation, of promoting people to create. That's why there was a time that they heavily invested in vocational education. There's one thing that lifted the Chinese economy to among the world's #1 is the heavy investment in vocational education, in the economy of creation, pushing people to create as much as possible. So we also need that kind of mentality for Africa to rise, where the governments need to do whatever they can do to encourage citizens to create opportunities. Let the market be so free that they can create. Like, for example, if somebody's trying to start a school, for example, right? They should not just go ahead and start forcing the person, oh, you must get the education license. Okay, find another way to encourage them to start the school in a small scale and perfect things in the process. Like somebody can start an evening school from there, and you can create a structure to support evening school. Let them create. When they start converting from evening school to a full day school, they have the resources, they have the experience. Now you can bring all the licensing and laws and regulations. That's why most countries have startup laws. When you start a business, you recognize a startup, there are some things that you're excluded from because they understand that you're still in a creation mode. You are still in research and development phase. So they cannot be forcing you to respect some patents and some licensing and some laws issues when you are not ready for it. You don't even know what you're doing yet. So a free market is good. And that's one thing, in that particular dispensation, the good news that we have for many African nations like Cameroon is that the governments are still laissez-faire. Number two, they are not computerized yet. So it's possible to start something in your house and do it for 2 years. Nobody knows that you exist, but you're making money out of it. So you can take advantage of that and learn, perfect it before you are going fully legalized and to get the licensing. You are no longer doing guesswork. You have passed the creation mode. You have passed the research and development phase. But one thing about the free market is that when there's no direct government interference, forcing things on citizens. There is greater supply of value. There's greater supply of variety because people are forced to create in diverse areas. When there's a problem, they create a solution and see how to market, monetize it. When there's a problem, they create a solution, build a business model from it, and see how to monetize it and see how to model it and push it forward. And we are in that same market. To be okay to create from your house. Create and test, create and try and error. Learn how you can leverage online, create there in a smaller scale, perfect it in the process before you're going big and looking for licensing and registrations. And that business success, therefore, depends on your ability to enter the market with products and services that you can sell in competition with other similar products and services offered by your competitors. Yes. For you to succeed in business, it totally depends on your ability to enter the market with excellent products and services that you can sell with, and you can sell in competition. Oh, yes. So for you to survive in the market, before you can sell in the market, you need to understand that you are coming in a market that there is already competition. You will need to sell in a market that already has competition. So your ability to successfully enter that market is strongly determined by the quality of your product, the quality of your delivery, the quality of your packaging, the quality of your sales strategies. That is going to make you stand out in competition. Because you will definitely be entering a market that already has similar products and services offered by your competitors who are existing in the market longer than you. They have more experience than you. They have maybe more money than you, more staff than you, everything more than you. But how can you stand out? You can stand out by bringing in your value proposition into the market. Therefore, the free market enables a person to start with nothing but an idea. This is one thing I love about the free market, like Cameroon and other African countries, the US, all of that. The free market enables a person to start with nothing but an idea backed up by the right energy, backed up by the right ambition, and you get to build a great enterprise. You get to build a great company. That's one thing with the free market. In some governments, you can even start something new. Because it's highly state controlled. In a nation like, for example, like China again, for example, like all media are state controlled. You don't just open the TV anyhow. You know, like in China, Facebook does not work in China. WhatsApp does not work there. All these social media platforms don't work there. They have their own platforms. And these platforms are heavily controlled by the government. So it reduced, like there, we cannot quickly create something like PP and a meeting like this. The government will be suspecting us that we're plotting against them. Right? But in a free market like this, it enables a person, enables anybody here. Walters can start if one of the best future photo studio companies in this country from his house. And he grows gradually from there. He started a photo studio, he comes to a group like PPA, he writes it, oh, hey guys, I run a photo studio, want to take pictures, come to my house. And you go, you see, market already takes place without him being in public, without him being licensed or anything, but there's a market taking place. He's perfecting his craft. He's perfecting his business model. He's perfecting his packaging. Before he finally goes now in public, he's ready for it. The benefit of a free market. That's why a free market enables a person to start with nothing but an idea, right? You start with an idea in your father's house, in your mother's house, where you live, backed up by the right energy from your end, backed up with the ambitions to convert this idea into a beautiful enterprise, into a beautiful company. You will definitely rise when you understand this. So understand this important underlying force. as a professional, and as an entrepreneur. You can start with nothing but an idea, and you can you can raise that idea into an excellent enterprise. One of your duties, therefore, is to protect and defend this system by understanding it, supporting it when it comes under attack. It's your responsibility to protect and support the market. And that is why you need to be ethical in your dealings. Be ethical in your dealings. It is called upon all professionals and business people to be ethical, to be professional in their dealings. When you are ethical and professional, you are automatically protecting this market. But if you are somebody who dupe people, you lie to people, you don't sell quality products, you say something is worth 10,000 francs, while the real price is 2,000 francs based on the quality, you are not protecting the market like that. But a professional, ethical market stakeholder protects the market by doing things ethically and professionally all the time. And also in the ethical and professional market dealings, they are part of market underlying forces, because number one, it can hurt your brand if you're unethical and unprofessional. Number two, the general laws of the land can shut you down if you're unethical and you're unprofessional. Number three, you may never be sustainable because clients will run from you. Your story of being unethical and unprofessional will go out there, and people will start running away from you, and they may not buy from you. Therefore, become a champion of a free market. Recognize that open market where the customer is the king and all business success is dependent on serving customers with the things they want. This is another force, underlying force in when it comes to the law of the market. As you plan to enter the market, or as you're already in the market, always understand that the customer is a king and all business success is dependent on serving customers with the things they want at the highest possible quality. Another underlying force. You need to serve customers at the highest possible quality and at the lowest possible price. Customers like to buy more, the best quality at the lowest possible price. Understand that law. Okay, so the next law that is important, the next force, sorry, that is important for you to understand before you start selling or start venturing into market is to know that it is important to study the market before you venture into that market. Study your target market before you venture into it. Make sure that your product has a gap to fill in that particular market. The next force that you need to understand as you venture into the market is how can you use innovative ways of offering and improving your existing products. Yes, if you're already in the market, one of the forces to always bring into play is to always seek innovative ways of improving your offering, improving your product and service. Don't be stagnant for long, especially in this market dispensation that is changing so fast. If you are not innovative in seeking better ways to provide offerings to your customers or to your potential customers, you will likely die out. And the next force, the next recommended force in the law of the market that you should practice as you enter the market is it is okay for you to copy and paste what others have been doing. You can copy, paste, and innovate. You can copy, innovate, and paste, right? Sometimes you can look at, okay, these guys have been doing this and it's working. Copy, innovate, let it fit your product, your business model, and then you start implementing it. It's okay because you're coming to already existing market and they know some things that you don't know. And the last force, the last important force that you need to recognize and put into practice for you to survive in the market is for you to always give yourself the winning edge in the industry. Give yourself a winning edge in your industry. If you're a professional, what is your winning edge? What is your unique value proposition? If you start to run a business, do you give yourself a winning edge? What is that edge that is different from other people? What is that unique value proposition that makes you stand out in your industry? So you need to recognize highly recognize that for you to thrive in the market, you need to give your business, you need to put in force the underlying force of giving yourself and your business the winning edge in your industry. Until you have a winning edge in your industry, you may not stand out in that particular industry. So as you venture into the market, ask yourself, what is my winning edge? If you don't have one, find it, look for it, build it, invest in it, make sure it's so excellently delivered that nobody can ignore. And when you put this force in place, this underlying force in place, you will not be surprised by the market and you will not be kicked out of the market. There are many business people, there are many people who have gone for interviews. For example, I said interview is a market, right? When you have gone for interview and you don't have a winning edge during that interview, other people can kick you out. Imagine you're going for an interview, everybody in the interview panel has a master's degree. Now, what is the extra winning edge that will make you to succeed in that particular market? You need to find it. It could be your experience. It could be that you have worked in 2 countries. It could be that you have diverse experience of 3 different industries. It could be that you have connections with the government to leverage and represent the company publicly. It could be that you know how to use the media better than anybody else. But make sure that's why when you're going for interview, don't have something beyond your CV to provide. Anybody can show a CV. Anybody can show a master's degree. Anybody can show a doctorate degree, but there's something that is called a winning edge that if you present, it makes you stand out in that particular interview market. It makes you stand out. I remember I was looking for a job I was looking for a consulting contract one time, and everybody who submitted that I had just MBA. Everybody submitted a consultant had MBA and even doctorate degree. One of the things that made me stood out was that the story of me being able to create a business from scratch. Well, many of the guys who are there were guys who went to these big schools and they left there and they were working in other big companies. But my winning edge was that I run a business I started from scratch alone and which now has employees. And that was how I was selected for that contract. And guys who went to better schools in Europe did not get it. Because if I was trying to compete with education and all of that, I will not win. And everybody has a winning edge. Look into it. It could just be massive experience. It could just be that you have worked in a village somewhere. It could just be there's something unique in your journey that if you convert it, package it well, it will make you stand out in the market because it is your winning edge. Okay? All right. So it's a very important underlying force if you are going to win in the market. You need to recognize that before you can sell exceptionally well. All right, people, that is it for today. And we can chit chat and talk about some questions and round up. Cheers.